With salvage operation underway, Dutch government calls for safe and sound recycling of safer tanker. Security forces in Ma'rib capture a Houthi cell accused of placing explosives around the city. Houthi militia escalates in Al Dara and storms a number of villages in the city. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news with me, Injil Zazi. The United Nations announced that it has completed the first phase of Safer Operation Rescue. Yet, the Dutch government warned of the consequences of delaying the process of unloading oil from the ship and called for safe and environmentally sound recycling of the tanker. This report has more.
As the inspections and oil transfer preparations are almost out of the way, salvage operations to transfer the oil from a rapidly decaying floating storage offshore unit moored off the Red Sea coast of Yemen to a safe vessel are expected to start soon as part of the UN-led efforts to prevent a potential catastrophic oil spill. This raises concerns about the facility in which this tanker will be recycled, with many calling on the Netherlands to take these matters into its own hands. While the salvage operations to secure the 376-meter-long FSO Safer have been delayed multiple times in the past due to the lack of funding, the operations for the removal of the oil on board this decaying oil tanker are now taking place off the coast of Yemen. The plan to address the threat posed by the FSO Safer compromises two critical tracks. This covers an emergency operation to transfer the oil from the FSO to a temporary vessel and the installation of a long-term replacement vessel or another capacity equivalent to the FSO Safer within a target of 18 months. This FSO Safer is in danger of exploding and unleashing a disaster estimated to have the potential for a massive oil spill. Therefore, the UN Development Programme signed an agreement in March 2023 to purchase a very large crude carrier to take on the oil from the FSO Safer by emergency ship-to-ship transfer. The FSO Safer contains more than 1 million barrels of oil and is considered to be beyond repair as it could soon break apart or explode. According to the UN, this is enough to make it the 5th largest oil spill from a tanker in history. After the vessel is declared clean and empty, it will be prepared for towing to a green scrapping yard under the responsibility of the UN, as the UNDP is looking for a destination for the FSO recycling. Non-governmental organizations urge the UNDP to find a solution that effectively addresses the inherent risks associated with the dismantling process and the management of the risky materials that will remain on board. Currently, these NGOs are calling on the Dutch government, one of the biggest donors to the Stop Red Sea oil pollution operation, to follow suit and assist UNDP in identifying a suitable recycling facility by pushing for the safe and environmentally sound recycling of FSO Safer.
The security services in Ma'rib announced the dismantling of a terrorist cell affiliated with the Houthis, consisting of 8 members. The mission of the terrorist cell is to target public roads and vital sites by planting explosive devices that are detonated from a distance. More on the story is within this report.
Security authorities in Yemen's central city of Ma'rib have dismantled a Houthi cell responsible for plotting assaults against military and civilian facilities and assassinating security and military officers in the city. The cell was made up of 8 people with ties to the Houthis, some of whom were caught placing improvised explosive devices along a road in Ma'rib. 2 members confessed in a 5-minute video released by the Ministry of Interior to planting explosive devices inside an oil plant and blowing up another at a pickup driven by a military officer, claiming that Houthi figures trained them on how to plant and denote explosive devices and paid them 2,000 Saudi riyal for each mission. The ministry said the confessions revealed that a Houthi leader named Ahmed Ali Al-Amir controls the cell and trains its members in using the explosives, while another Houthi figure named Majid al-Duraq was responsible for transporting the explosives from Sana'a to Ma'rib. A member of the cell confessed to planting explosive devices in Ma'rib to kill a military officer and claimed that the Houthis took advantage of his poverty to recruit him. Yemeni officials have long accused Houthi cells of planting landmines and explosive devices, as well as carrying out drive-by shootings that have killed dozens of military and security personnel in Ma'rib. The information minister said the Houthi cell tried to undermine security and stability in the city of Ma'rib, which has been a safe haven for over 2 million people who have escaped fighting or Houthi repression.
Tai's governor chaired the meeting of the fact-finding committee to investigate the latest incident shooting during the feast celebration. The governor was briefed about the preliminary results and the investigations into the incident. He stressed the need to take firm decisions against the perpetrators so they can receive punishment. World Food Programme announced that it has received a new contribution from the Australian government to support its activities in Yemen. The program said the new Australian contribution of $4 million Australian dollars will support its humanitarian programs in Yemen.
بعدين هنا الناس تعبوا وبعدين يجوا لما يموتوا نصيبه اذا ما مات في سبيل الله يشلهم من الشارع اللجوم.
الفريق الطبي يقوم بتقديم الخدمه الصحيه بالفحص والاطمئنان على صحه المهاجر لتقديم الخدمه الصحيه للمهاجرين الواصلين حديثا عبر السواحل اليمنيه.
عمري 20 ما في شغل على حياتي عشان كذا اروح السعوديه دور رزق.
الحالات التي يتعرض لها المهاجر من مشاكل تنفسية أو هضمية أو مشاكل جلدية يتم معالجتها في العربة المتنقلة بإعطاء المريض سواء إذا كانت المشاكل الجلدية هناك العديد من المراهم والكريمات، أيضا المشاكل الجهاز الهضمي يقوم بإعطاء المضادات الحيوية أو السوائل، وأيضا إذا كانت مشاكل تعب وإرهاق فيتم إعطاؤه المهدئات.
Miyun Human Rights Organization condemned the Houthi attack which targeted 5 children in Hodeidah. The organization said the Houthi targeting of the children while they were grazing livestock constitutes a flagrant violation of the international humanitarian law. Local sources reported that mortar shelling hit populated villages in Haiz district, wounding 5 children while they were grazing sheep. 1 civilian and 3 soldiers were wounded when an explosive device exploded in Abiyan Governorate, southern Yemen. Local sources confirmed that an explosive device targeted a military patrol while it was passing on the main road east of the city of Mudia, seriously injuring a civilian and 3 soldiers. 1 child was killed and 3 others injured when a camouflaged explosive device exploded in 2 separate incidents in Taiz. The Yemeni Landmine Observatory said a child in his 14s was killed and 2 other children were wounded in Al Jahmaliya neighborhood in Taiz. In a second incident, an 8-year-old child was injured by an explosion in another district, also in Taiz. The terrorist Houthi militia stormed a number of villages in Al Dara Governorate. Local sources said that the Houthi militia stormed several villages, raided dozens of homes, and tampered with their contents. The sources added that the militia arrested about 17 civilians during the raid and transferred them to its prisons without knowing the reasons. Coming next in the news. Young Yemeni footballers give country hope amid war. Welcome back. During the first days of Eid al-Adha, more than 1,000 weddings were held in the Bayhan district of Shabwa Governorate amid intensive security measures and efforts to limit the manifestations of live gunfire that lead to human casualties. This report has more.
This year, the blessed days of Eid al-Adha witnessed more than 1,000 marriages taking place in Al-Ulaya in Bayhan district in Shabwa. As a long-standing custom, the community used to transform the holiday into a time for marriage ceremonies.
Our ancestors usually established collective weddings for their sons and daughters during Eid al-Adha, and the number of weddings this year in Bayhan has reached more than 1,000 spouses. The reason for choosing this timing is that expatriates come to the country to celebrate with their families as well as to benefit from the sacrifice at the wedding.
The security services in Bayhan hurried to prevent shooting at events and weddings and impose a number of strict punitive measures against the violators at a time when the phenomenon of gunfire appears strongly during these wedding ceremonies, which some of them turn into funerals due to the human losses and injuries caused by the recoiling bullets.
In fact, some weddings in Bayhan turned into tragedies as a result of human casualties, and we took a number of measures, beginning with awareness and then punishing the violators, and we achieved a success rate of 90%. All of that is because of the local authority. During these 2 years, we've witnessed a very significant decrease in the phenomena because of the security forces who imposed fines and penalties on people.
Gunfire at weddings and other events is a bad phenomenon, and efforts to end it up is a step that was praised and welcomed by the public because it disturbs public peace and causes anxiety, while also causing human casualties. But the perpetrator is still unknown.
The United Nations report more than 900 incidents of denial of humanitarian access over the past year in Yemen. The report indicated that most of these incidents occurred in areas controlled by the Houthi group and included carrying out attacks on humanitarian organizations and workers and imposing restrictions on movement.
Beekeeping has been an age-old practice in Yemen, dating back to the 2nd millennium BC. Yemeni honey is renowned for its delicious flavor, with one of the finest varieties coming from bees that feed on the sidr tree.
عسل السدر ممتاز لأنه فيه فوائد فيه علاء كثير أكثر من العسل اللي حق المراعي ولا هاي. هذا السدر أقدر تصدره إلى البرة يعني ومنه فائدة أكثر.
From 2022, WFP has supported 5,180 beekeepers in Yemen with training and cash to increase resilience among urban and rural households.
جزاهم الله خير، أعطانا النحل جمعية وده الحين نشتغل يعني أكثر دخل على النحل، ودي الصباح إلى عنده نلبس الثوب ونجي يعني ونعطي حقه الماء وسكر، ونشوف شيء مرض فيه مش أي حاجة نشوفها فيه يعني إنك تقول تعالي تو من قدامنا ما يهتلك عليه كله.
Sports continues to give Yemenis hope amid years of grinding conflict. The achievements of the young national team seems to have made Yemenis forget about the plight of the war and united them nationwide. This report has more.
Since 2014, Yemen's news has been nearly exclusively depressing. But in June, a group of youths playing football in Thailand contributed to the unification of the nation. Under-17 team was one of only 16 to qualify for the June Asian Championship, and with victories over Malaysia and Laos, they advanced out of the group round and into the quarter-finals, where they would face Iran. Victory would have guaranteed a place in the semi-finals, and more importantly, a place in the Under-17 World Cup, which will be held in Indonesia in November. The game finished 0-0, with Iran winning the penalty shootout. It was devastating for the young players to come so close to a first-ever worldwide championship, but it did reveal a glimmer of a bright future for a country that has had little to celebrate in recent years. When the Houthis seized control of Yemen's capital Sana'a, the Yemeni civil war began, and according to the UN, Yemen is one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. Since the war broke out, some Yemeni athletes got involved in the fighting, whether by choice or by force. Many of them have been murdered in the battle, while others have been badly injured. Athletics have been utilized by opposing parties in Yemen's civil conflict to achieve military advantage, but sportsmen for Yemen's national teams view athletics as a chance to bring the broken country back together. Factions in Yemen's civil conflict have expoliated sports as part of their military strategy. Sports participation fell by 88% due to the civil war. However, a few sporting events did take place, demonstrating the power of sport to foster coexistence and peace, as well as opportunities for mending the torn social fabric. Yemeni's passion for sports can help them overcome political and sectarian conflicts. Sports can help create a culture of peace among individuals if practiced without any violence or interference from Houthis, as almost everyone loves football because it gives people joy and excitement.
Here's a reminder of the main headlines. With salvage operation underway, Dutch government calls for safe and sound recycling of safer tankers. Security forces in Ma'rib capture Houthi cell accused of placing explosives around the city. Houthi militia escalates in El Dada and storms a number of villages in the city. This is the end of the news. It was Angel Zazi. Thank you for watching.